Real Talk Studios, we dedicate our time to highlight the glaring issues we face within our community. Catch us live every Wednesday between 7 to 8 p.m. Real Public Concerns. Because your concerns are meant to be heard. Send your email to realpublicconcerns@gmail.com. When life throws you a curveball and you need a clear path forward, trust Real Talk Wrecking Service to get you back on track. Whether you're stuck on the roadside or dealing with an unexpected breakdown, our 24/7 wrecking service is just one call away. Fast response, reliable towing, and a team that's got your back. At Real Talk Wrecking Service, we don't just tow, we rescue. Real Talk Wrecking Service, your lifeline on the road to recovery.
True growth shouldn't make you wait. This month, Real Talk Financing is changing the timeline. Get up to 7% interest on a fixed deposit paid to you upfront. Real Talk Financing and Investment. Real results sooner. Call our Central or South branches today.
Welcome back.
So, ladies and gentlemen, CARICOM heads of government has agreed to refer the dispute surrounding the reappointment of CARICOM Secretary General Dr. Carla Barnett to the Caribbean Court of Justice, the CCJ. The decision was announced today during the 51st regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government in St. Lucia. The announcement was made this morning by Philip J. Pierre, the Prime Minister of St. Lucia and the CARICOM chairman. Listen to this.
CARICOM acknowledged that the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago desires to have the issue of the reappointment of the Secretary General referred to the Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ, to render an advisory opinion thereon. To facilitate this request, the community agrees to commence proceedings to secure such advisory opinion in accordance with Article 212 of the revised Treaty of Chagaramas. The community acknowledged that this is the very purpose for which the CCJ was created, to be a treaty interpretation body. The community further agreed that the status quo with respect to the reappointment of the Secretary General shall remain unless and until the community considers the said advisory opinion from the CCJ.
So, Trinidad and Tobago, how strong is our Prime Minister? Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar also welcomed the decision following a proposal she brought forward on Trinidad and Tobago behalf. The PM said the decision came out of the heads of government retreat held on 6th of July 2026, where she maintained Trinidad and Tobago objection to the process used in reappointing the Secretary General. She said she put forward the case of the referring the matter to the CCJ under Article 212 of the revised Treaty of Chagaramas, which allows CARICOM to send questions about how treaties provision should be interpreted to the court for its guidance. So Trinidad and Tobago, that is how strong our Prime Minister is. In a statement, Prasad Bisesa thanked her fellow CARICOM leaders for backing Trinidad and Tobago position. She also credited the chairman of CARICOM, Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre of St. Lucia, for steering the decision towards consensus, saying his facilitation gives the region a path to move forward in unity on the matter. So Trinidad and Tobago, we're going to hear more of that when it unfolds. So Prime Minister Kamla Prasad Bisesa have stated that Trinidad and Tobago is prepared to deepen regional cooperation through healthcare, transportation, and security initiatives, as CARICOM leaders begin closed-door discussion at the 51st meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government in St. Lucia. The PM said she intended to place several proposals before CARICOM, including the use of National Prosthetic Center by other member states. She added that decisions would also include a proposal involving the use of Trinidad and Tobago ferry service within the Eastern Caribbean. Trinidad and Tobago, that would be a plus for us. Listen to this.
Those CARICOM members who are interested, our prosthetic limb center, that they can bring their people down, and we will try to accommodate them. We have other areas for discussion. The ferry, there's a discussion about a ferry, that we can use our ferry on certain days and bring it up here to the Eastern Caribbean.
So viewers, Prasad Bisesa also identified regional crime and security as a key issue for discussion, noting that several CARICOM countries were facing similar challenge.
Serious matters, we have been grappling with crime and crime surges in TNT, and apparently that is happening in the other countries in the CARICOM. So security matters will be another very major matter. And of course there is a matter with respect to the Secretary General. I suppose that may come up at this meeting as well.
So viewers, let's talk security. Let's talk ferry transportation. So security for the region. CARICOM heads has now decided to come together to talk about regional security. How to fix crime in their country. How to secure our country. How to prevent drugs. How to prevent guns. How to prevent prostitution. How to prevent illegal substance from coming in to our country. Also, the Prime Minister is going to put forward a proposal involving the use of Trinidad and Tobago ferry service within the Eastern Caribbean. So how do we look at that? That is a positive move. Using a ferry service from here to Tobago, from Trinidad to Grenada, from Trinidad to St. Lucia, a direct run. That is going to pump US currency into our economy. And that will be a growth for who? Trinidad and Tobago. If one ferry is successful, we're going to add another one. So you will have a back and forth transition with both ferries. And we're going to grow US in the economy. How do you all think about that? What do you all think? Would it be successful? Or would it be spinning top in mud? You tell me. So, viewers, well proposed, well planned, well executed. At least there is a government in Trinidad and Tobago that is planning to do something for the country to generate US currency, to generate jobs. It will be a little challenging, but nevertheless, it's worth a try. So as we move on in our news tonight, viewers, topic of the day, as a matter of fact, Trinidad and Tobago is very scared right now that some people might get passports to travel, some may not. Some their process for passport might be prolonged. The Trinidad and Tobago is facing a potential shortage of passport booklet, with sources indicating that the country's remaining supply is critically low. According to individuals familiar with the situation, immigration officials has reportedly been instructed to slow the issuance of passport in an effort to conserve the dwindling down stocks until new supplies have arrived. So Trinidad and Tobago, what normally takes 6 weeks or 3 months, how long is it going to take? You got to tell me we that slack in this country? We that slack? This is an embarrassment, not only in the Caribbean, you know, but when news like this goes regional and international, this is an embarrassment to the country. A total embarrassment, shame, disgrace. So listen this. Sources say the Immigration Division had repeatedly warned the Ministry of Homeland Security since the current administration assumed office last year that passport booklet stocks were declining and urgent action was needed. So here now we have Immigration Division warning Homeland Security. The ministry was reportedly advised in mid-2025 that approximately 1 year supply estimated between 80,000 and 100,000 booklets remained. Despite those warnings, officials now fear that country could run out of passport booklets if replacement supplies are not received soon. It is a disgrace. You're going to tell me we have a division in Trinidad and Tobago that's supposed to make sure something like this never happens. But yet we are in this situation. So who are we going to blame? The UNC or the PNM? So here it is now, Trinidad and Tobago. Responding to questions, Roger Alexander confirmed that the government is moving forward with plans to replace the current machine-readable passport with electronic e-passport document. However, he did not disclose how many booklets remain in stocks, how long the current inventory will last, or whether any directive was issued to slow passport processing in order to preserve the remaining supplies. Instead, he referred to the government planned transition to e-passport when asked about reports of an impending passport shortage. What we needed from Roger Alexander, the Homeland Security Minister, was how much passport are there remaining to be issued, or how many passport booklets are in stock. He did not answer that question, but went on to tell us, the citizens, that they are planning to shift from the booklet to the e-passport. how long it is going to take for this transition to come into place. That's number one. Number two, how many individual has a request in immigration for new passports or renewing their passports. So you have to get a figure of how much applied for passport. New passports, that's number one. How much are doing renewal? And how much do we have in stock? Then you're going to know how long it's going to last. So that's three things we need to know. To top it off now, the e-passport. How long is it going to take for that system to come in place now? Caller, good night.
Hi, good night, Mr. Saeed.
Go right ahead.
Just imagine it.
I'm telling
Just
you.
imagine this passport thing. So if you have a passport and it's expired now, how long it will take? What will happen? You won't be able to get to renew it at all. What's really going on in this country? Look at the MIC, the center. They said that they have it on hold. It have children that was going there to learn a little trade. Look now, they had to be home now. It's a set of thing on the streets, because when you're looking out for them to go to school to learn the little trade or something now, they have the thing on a lockdown. They say it on a hold. What will happen to these children now? They will be all over in the street, all over the place now, because school on holidays now.
Correct. Everybody wants to travel.
They just set a banditry, man. What really going on in this place is everything. So, Mr. Saeed, oh God, man. Thank you.
Thank you, my dear. So what I don't understand is why Roger Alexander didn't give a straight answer. I understand you're talking about transition from the passport booklet to the e-passport. I understand that. I understand you want to shift. But we need answers. How long is this process going to take? Are we going into a standstill with passports, issuing booklets, or renewing? So how are we going to determine now who needs it and who don't need it? Keep in mind, Trinidad and Tobago, that the administration was warned multiple times when they took office in 2025, and in mid-2025, that approximately 1 year supply estimated between 80,000 to 100,000 booklets is remained. So how are we going to deal with this? I understand the transition. How long is the transition going to take? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? So what about the businessmen now who have to renew passports in December? How are they going to deal with it? As an urgent matter? As a not so urgent matter? Or you can't get no renewal? Sad. With this news going international, we have been embarrassed. We have been embarrassed as a country with 1.4 million people. Is the government can't handle their affairs? Could they get anything right? So what kind of news are coming out of Trinidad and Tobago? It's sad, eh? It's sad. So I just want to go back. I just want to go back now, almost a year and a half backward, into 2024. The PNM administration, were they also warned by Immigration Department that passport booklets are running out? Were they also warned before the 2025 general election, were they also warned that passport booklets were running out of Trinidad and Tobago? I am waiting to hear what the Foreign and CARICOM Affairs former ministers have to say. Amy Brown. I am waiting for him to give a statement. And also what I would like to hear from the Immigration Department is that some senior members coming out to say, well, you know what? We totally pay them administration this. They did make it very clear. They did make it very clear that in mid-2025, they had about 80 to 100,000 booklets remaining. And they did make it very clear that multiple times they told this administration that. They made it very clear. Let me hear what Roger Alexander have to say after. So Trinidad and Tobago, we are in for a short commercial break. Stay locked on. Diplomatic passport should come with expired terms. More when we return.
We'll be right back.
At Real Talk Studios, we dedicate our time to highlight the glaring issues we face within our community. Catch us live every Wednesday between 7 to 8 p.m. Real Public Concerns. Because your concerns are meant to be heard. Send your email to realpublicconcerns@gmail.com. When life throws you a curveball and you need a clear path forward, trust Real Talk Wrecking Service to get you back on track. Whether you're stuck on the roadside or dealing with an unexpected breakdown, our 24/7 wrecking service is just one call away. Fast response, reliable towing, and a team that's got your back. At Real Talk Wrecking Service, we don't just tow, we rescue. Real Talk Wrecking Service, your lifeline on the road to recovery.
Welcome back.
So Trinidad and Tobago, former National Security Minister Gary Griffith says the issue surrounding diplomatic passport could be resolved by aligning the validate of the document with the terms of office of the individual to whom they are issued. Griffith suggested diplomatic passport issued to office holder and their families should carry an expiry date, and said individuals should not continue using a diplomatic passport that identify them as holding a public office after they have demitted that position. Listen to the Trinidad and Tobago.
The diplomatic passport issue is very easy to solve. Sometimes all that is required is to take away the emotional aspect of a situation, analyze it, and then you'll come up with the right solution. All that is required is just to set an expiry date when issued for diplomatic passports to the approximate end of the term in office of the office holder and their families. And this would avoid the hassle of the government or the Ministry of Foreign Affairs having to track down people when they leave office. Because once that diplomatic passport expires, it becomes useless. I'm sure many of us have expired passports in our homes. You should not be using, however, a diplomatic passport to enter or leave a country if it states the bearer is a minister or family member of a minister when that person no longer holds that office. If they return to office, then the passport can be simply renewed.
Now, Trinidad and Tobago. This is very simple, you know. The ID card have an expiry date. Your driver's permit have an expiry date. Your passport have an expiry date. Your visa has an expiry date. If you have a bank account and it goes down to $5 after a few months, you end up with what? An overdraft. You have to pay the bank. So how it is that they didn't issue an expiry date for a diplomatic passport? How? How come? Why they didn't put an expiry date to that? That was so diplomatic that it couldn't get an expiry date? So how are we going to class Stuart Young? He had a diplomatic passport for 1 month, being a prime minister. That would have been the shortest diplomatic life of a passport. But nevertheless, last week Prime Minister Kamla Prasad Bisesa said that there has been abuse of the issuance of diplomatic passports and indicated that former Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley and Stuart Young would be required to surrender their diplomatic passport. She said they would instead be issued official passport in keeping with the government's revised policy. Griffith also said opposition members should not have diplomatic passport, but instead Trinidad and Tobago give them official passport, like a minister passport. Use the opposition. Listen to this, viewers.
Additionally, I do not think opposition members do not represent the government and really and truly should not have diplomatic passports. They, however, may need to represent the country at parliamentary seminars, etc. And because of this, they should be given official passports, which will only be used when on official business on behalf of Trinidad and Tobago, and that is approved by cabinet. I even recall seeing a former minister in a diplomatic line a few years ago after leaving office. And on inquiry, I was told that he was a retired judge. Now, this for me sounds like it is an uneven level playing field if this is true. Because if this information is correct, and I stand to be corrected, if retired judges are allowed to have diplomatic passports, then why not retired politicians, retired senior politicians, etc., etc.?
Young recently disclosed that he received an unexpected call instructing him to surrender the diplomatic passport issued to him after he demitted office. He argued that the move amounted to continued victimization. Now, Stuart Young, let me get to the facts here. Let's just say Keith Rowley had a diplomatic passport. He is out of prime ministership. So meaning you do not need a diplomatic passport to represent Trinidad again and free travels. You are out of office, you no longer require that. So Stuart Young have been selected by former Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley and also the President to be the Prime Minister. Stuart Young, Trinidad and Tobago, I want you to understand this. Stuart Young was not voted by the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago to be the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago in any election. I want you to understand this. Stuart Young was appointed by a former Prime Minister. And the President of Trinidad and Tobago went ahead with what Dr. Keith Rowley said. So there's a difference. Being elected by the people to serve the people and being appointed by a former prime minister. I want you to understand the difference. But now we have Young making a bacchanal now for a passport, a diplomatic passport. He no longer represents Trinidad and Tobago. And according to Gary Gufford, you cannot go elsewhere in a meeting and represent Trinidad. You are in your position. You represent nothing but the parliament. And that's it. Only in this country. Only in this country. Imagine a man fighting for a passport. You're not serving the country. You do not deserve a diplomatic passport. You're in the back bench, let's say that. Let's use that term. The back bench. You represent the back bench. I have no idea how hard it is for Stuart Young to understand this. I have no idea. Or is it that he loved the word diplomat? It is a very expensive word, you know. When you put that word into context, diplomat is a very high-ranking word. But nevertheless, viewers, nevertheless, he wants to fight. Let him go ahead. He could go to court if he wants, because the Prime Minister has already said, hey, return your document. You no longer represent Trinidad and Tobago, which is quite fair. So, I don't know why they're fighting for something that they have no authority over, you know. Serious. I really don't know. Former Attorney General Gavin Nicholas have stated that he supports the government decision to call on former Prime Ministers Dr. Keith Rowley and Stuart Young to surrender their diplomatic passport. You see? They no longer represent Trinidad. You represent the parliament in Trinidad and Tobago, which is our position that will cause an argument every time the ruling party brings something to the parliament. That is the only time you have a say. That is the only time. Trying to make out tell you something, eh? You see, when you had power all the time, when you could have give a word and say, hey, put on that TV, when you could have give a word and say, hey, bring that chair over here, that is when you have power and authority. But when you're here, you're on this side now, and you say, hey, put on that TV, and nobody is taking you on, you lose power and authority. When you tell somebody to bring that chair over here, and they do not bring it, you lose your power, you lose your ability to command, you lose your ability to gain respect, you lose your ability to represent. And I have no idea why they're fighting for a passport. But like again, the word diplomat is a very, very executive word. There's a lot of weight and power within it. Now, he believes it is fair and consistent with the purpose of diplomatic passport. Listen to Mr. Gavin Nicholas.
I'm actually in full agreement with the government. Diplomatic passports and even official passports are not attached to persons, they're attached to offices.
Same thing I was saying. Nicholas explained that diplomatic passport carries significant privilege when traveling internationally, including facilitating official engagement, expediting immigration process or procedures, and supporting diplomatic functions. So I want to believe that Stuart Young is missing this power. I want to believe that he do not want to give up this power. That is what I want to believe. I don't know for you. Now, Gavin, he says, this privilege exists to enable the effectiveness, conduct of state business rather than to serve a personal entitlement. So which one Stuart Young is fighting for? Which one he's causing an argument for? Personal use or being an office holder representing? But then again, given into consideration, you're on the opposite. You cannot give an order. And that is the difference. That is the difference. So listen to this now.
This matter, it's a storm in a teacup. And Mr. Young, as a former Prime Minister, for what it's worth, is no longer a Prime Minister. He is not even the leader of the opposition. He's a member of Parliament. If he is given an official passport so that he can travel and be recognized for the current office that he holds, I think is sufficient. And requesting and making a big fuss about having a diplomatic passport tells me that maybe he actually shouldn't actually have one.
Responding to claim by former Prime Minister Stuart Young that the decision amounts to victimization, Nicholas says he does not believe the revised policy is directed at any individual. You were given the passport because you were representing the country when you were a Prime Minister. But now you are no longer a Prime Minister. Listen to Gavin one more time, Trinidad and Tobago.
There is no victimization here. In fact, I believe that even in the UK, former Prime Ministers don't keep diplomatic passports, even though they're recognized much more than our former Prime Ministers are. Which I think is a problem here, to be quite honest. The way we treat our former Prime Ministers and even former presidents leaves a lot to be desired.
There you go. It ain't easy, you know. You're fighting to hold on to a power that you no longer have. So viewers, we are going for a short commercial break. But remember, stay locked on. When we come back, 1.7 billion industry targets set for 2030. You're going to hear more of this, viewers, when we return.
We'll be right back.
At Real Talk Studios, we dedicate our time to highlight the glaring issues we face within our community. Catch us live every Wednesday between 7 to 8 p.m. Real Public Concerns. Because your concerns are meant to be heard. Send your email to realpublicconcerns@gmail.com.
True growth shouldn't make you wait. This month, Real Talk Financing is changing the timeline. Get up to 7% interest on a fixed deposit paid to you upfront. Real Talk Financing and Investment. Real results sooner. Call our Central or South branches today.
Connect with us on social media and don't miss the latest updates. Follow us on Instagram at RealTalk_Newsroom. Check us out on Facebook at Real Talk with Saieed Ali. Subscribe to us on YouTube at Real Talk Trinidad and TikTok at Real Talk with Saieed Ali.
Welcome back.
So Trinidad and Tobago, 1.7 billion US dollars. How is it going to benefit us, the citizen of this small island? The Trinidad and Tobago is targeting a significant expansion of its tourism sector, with plans to increase the industry contribution to GDP 1.7 billion by 2030. That 1.7 billion is in US Trinidad and Tobago citizens. Now, Acting Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Trade and Industry, Investment also, Abigail Bainu, says achieving that goal will require significant growth in several niche tourism markets. Listen to this.
As you are aware, tourism was not serious in Trinidad and Tobago. It was serious everywhere else in the Caribbean. Tourism drives or is the mainstay of mostly all of the Caribbean islands, with the exception of Trinidad and Tobago.
Viewers, remember I so often ask, what does the government have in plan to boost the tourism sector in Trinidad and Tobago? Remember I often ask the PNM administration that? Now, Bainu said, the government has set an ambitious target for the sector growth over the next several years.
But tourism is earmarked for diversification. We are aiming to increase the contribution of tourism to GDP to US 1.7 billion by 2030. Now, that's a big jump from where we are, and it will require great strides.
She also noted that the ministry has already identified 6 priorities areas for development, including yachting and marine service, ecotourism, health tourism, business conference, culture tourism, and sports tourism. She noted that the yachting sector alone presents significant opportunities for revenue generation. I've always been saying this, but the PNM administration, tourism department, they didn't care. I have a yacht. I could tell you how the industry functions. I could tell you the amount of money you could make in an industry. In the yachting department, let me tell you something, is millions of US you could make. But when you have delinquent ministers who don't care about development in a country, where you end up with? You're going to end up with an industry sunk under the water. That is what you're going to end up with. But listen to what she has to say.
On average, the yacht that comes to Trinidad and Tobago and does services in the Chaguaramas area can spend US $30,000. We are about 500 for the year. We're looking to double that, and of course we're looking to double that in next year because that's where the business is.
Ms. Bain also highlighted the country's competitive advantages in ecotourism.
The average tourist, eco-tourist, spends 4 times more than the normal tourist when they do ecotourism. What does Trinidad have as a competitive advantage? Birds. And believe you me, those bird tourists are spending money. You need to just look at what Asa Wright is, what kind of business they bring in.
She said there's no lie. No lie at all. I could back that up. I could back that up. I have a yacht. It is in the waters in Chaguaramas. And I know how much US it costs to maintain and service that boat while it is afloat in Chaguaramas. When you have to service a yacht, let me tell you something, it's not a little bit of money you have to come out with, you know. It's not a little bit of money you have to come out with, you know. That is a money-making industry, US currency. Let me tell you something. If the PNM administration did really focus on boosting the tourism sector in this country, we would have made millions of US dollars. in the yachting industry. Trust me, I know what I'm telling all you. It's not today I own a yacht. It's not today. Caller, good night.
Yes, sir. Good night.
Go right ahead, my friend.
Saieed, I want to touch on something else there.
Tell me.
Let me touch on it quick.
Tell me.
Concerning this passport issue, Saieed, right?
Yes.
All right, listen to what I'm telling you, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had an appointment in the beginning of May, right? Went and do my appointment. Right now in July, I'm still waiting on a passport, right? School now closed. People trying to fly out with a train and things.
Yes, yes, yes.
You understand what I'm trying to tell you? Let me tell you something, right? The people in immigration say that they're telling the Ministry of National Security and the Homeland Ministry and whatever and things that they was running low on booklets, right? They cancel the contract to make the booklet,
correct,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Or they're not communicating with the public.
True.
To let the public know anything, right?
Yeah.
Budget gone. All you double the passport fee from 250 to 500.
Correct. Yes.
You have double the fee, right? When you go online to make an appointment, you're getting 6 months after you go on. Like when you say, oh no, you're getting it for December or January next year.
Correct.
Your appointment, right? That's done bad enough. Why it is all you entertaining people, bringing them in, making them pay for a passport, and then they have to wait 3 months to collect it. And people don't even know if they're getting it because it's saying that it's short on booklets now, and people might not get the passport until they get back booklets. And they're going to only make it into an emergency thing. So why it is all they're taking people money and have taken a document, taking their money, doing the interview, and now they're going to tell people all they do have booklets to issue a passport? Where we really live in there, right?
In a clown world.
I'm trying to figure out what is really going on here now. And let me tell you something, right? When you don't communicate to the public like this, it is bring real distribute to the ministry, right?
Yes.
And then the next thing is all you're opening up avenues for people to make money on the side by taking people money and pushing the documents in front of other people to get a passport done. And there's no corruption that keeps going and keep going in this country, right? You understand what I'm trying to tell you?
Yes.
So people, oh God, let's come now, man. Let me get this thing right now. Let me get this thing right now. If all them know, all they're going to do something, all they have to communicate with the public so the public will know what all they're doing. Don't wait till the thing run out, and then you're telling people who already have travel plans that they can't get a passport.
That's ridiculous.
How that making sense? You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes,
Anyhow, side, you enjoy your night, brother.
Thank you, my friend. Acting Permanent Secretary Bainu said, medical tourism is another area that government intend to pursue with plans aimed at attracting overseas patients. Trinidad and Tobago, listen to this. When they built the Cuba hospital, what did I say? Bring in the equipment. We have a state-of-the-art hospital in Cuba. Bring in the equipment from foreign. Go to the different countries around the world. Look for the best price, the best package. Bring it in the country. So instead of Trinidadians traveling to go Europe, to go UK, to go Canada, to go in the US, to do a surgery, bring in the doctors, bring in the equipment. Let's do it right here in Trinidad. But you see, I'll tell you something. Terrence Diasing didn't have that capacity of brain power to think beyond Trinidad and Tobago. Sorry for saying it like that. They open a hospital block in Port of Spain without a bed. But big celebration. You're celebrating, you open a hospital block without a bed. That way you celebrate. The next one, open my airport in Tobago. Incomplete. You celebrated the opening of an incomplete airport. That means the kind of educated people Trinidad and Tobago have. Some of the educated people they have. Cannot think outside Trinidad and Tobago. Cannot think about benefits. Cannot think about expanding. Cannot think about making money for the country. You know what they thought? After the first 5 years that the PNM ran Trinidad and Tobago, and the people voted them back into power, they thought the people would have voted them back into power again. But you know what? the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago opened their eye in the last 5 years of the PNM administration. That is why Clungenberg came out and said he lost touch. When he raised the gas price, the Clungenberg realized was the human being, the people who voted him there the last time. That was the people that was going to be penalized with the gas price. He didn't realize that. And he laughed in Parliament with the Baigan and Baji people, the market people. I don't remember that. I here to remind all you. How often did I say about Clungenberg now? How often? We hear about Dr. Rowley more than Clungenberg. But Trinidad and Tobago is not easy now. So listen to this.
We are going to look at creating a facility, world-class, standards accredited facility, to bring in those people who are coming in for specialist medical services, pediatric, cardiovascular.
Trinidad and Tobago Watchman, that's our plan, you know. We already have the hospital in Cuba. The institute exists. It exists. We have a REMA. It existing. All you need is to upgrade the works. That's all you need. All you need to upgrade. Listen to this, eh? When you now start to ride bike, you're still learning a three-wheeler. And when you let to balance that three-wheeler, you upgrade to a two-wheeler bicycle, to a BMX bike. And then you upgrade now to, you know, long time they had them 10-speed racing bicycle. And then you upgrade to a motorbike. And from a motorbike now, you upgrade, you know what, I need a car. You're upgrading. We had administration in power, instead of trying to make an upgrade, we downgrade. We downgrade so much that Stuart Young fighting for a passport. It's sad. So now, don't get me wrong, eh? We have heard of government make plans to do this and to do that and to do the next. What we are yet to see is growth. That's what we are yet to see. Growth. Because there are CPR people who still need to find a job. There are reforestation workers still need to find a job. So what we need in Trinidad and Tobago is action. But let's see what will take place. Now, Secretary Bainu, she stressed, however, that the government cannot achieve its tourism goal alone, calling for greater private sector involvement in developing attraction and service. What we do? Have I yet? We could rent it out. So switching gears, Minister of Land and Legal Affairs, Saddam Hussein, has confirmed that Trinidad and Tobago is moving to strengthen protection for both its agriculture produce and creative industry. He was speaking at the 68th series of meeting of the Assembly of the Member State of the World Intellectual Property Organization in Geneva, Switzerland. He said, Trinidad and Tobago is seeking to expand the use of intellectual property protection as part of a broader strategy to support economic growth, innovation, and cultural development. Also announced reform aimed at strengthening protection for the agriculture sector. Listen to this.
In the area of plant variety protection, TNT is progressing reforms of its legislative framework and signals its intention to align with the latest act of the UPA of 1991 convention. This will enhance protection for plant breeders and support innovation and resilience within our agricultural sector.
So viewers, he said, the government continues to advance efforts to build international recognitions for local producers, agriculture's goods, particularly the country global acclaimed Coco Hussein.
Within the Ministry of Land and Legal Affairs, under my leadership as Minister, we have been able to prioritize advancements in our world-famous fine flavor Trinitario cocoa with the registration of a certification trademark for same. We're exploring rice, peppers, and pineapple also.
He also said the reform are intended to better protect Trinidad and Tobago musical heritage and creative economy. Hussein.
Upon returning to office, we immediately prioritized the updating of our Copyright Act to extend the term of protection from life plus 50 to 70 years and to extend the protection of sound recordings from 50 to 70 years. We are proud of our music, soca, calypso, and chutney. We have therefore strengthened the management and enforcement of rights in the creative sector.
So Trinidad and Tobago, we want to wish him all the best in that department, and hopefully in the coming weeks or months we're going to hear some new news concerning that department. But I just want to touch on this before we close, viewers. Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Tertiary Education and Skills Training, Hassan Narayan Singh, has highlighted the importance of collaboration in preparing citizens for an evolving tourism sector and ensure that the training aligns with both local and international standard as a demand. So Trinidad and Tobago, if we go that way, it is going to be a plus for us. Now I'll tell you something, in the tourism industry, you just don't need a fling flang. You don't need that. You don't need a fling flang. You need somebody who is trained in certain departments to carry about certain acts and certain jobs. That is what we need. But viewers, all good things come to an end only for tonight. Only for tonight. It is time that I must say good night to you. But remember, Trinidad and Tobago, a rerun of this program is tomorrow from 11:30 to 12:30 p.m. We'll be right back here another night for another Real Talk with Saieed as we go live. Until, be safe.